there's another interesting gap between the most developed countries and Latin American countries, or no? So, for example, here in Mexico, I don't know if you already know, but here in Mexico, the gross, the GDP that the government it's using to increase the research, it's less than the 1% of the GDP. It's about 0.5. I don't know about the countries in Latin America, but should be more or less the same. I know that some Asian countries, the investment it's about 5%. I think it's Korea. And for example, Austria, it's about 3%. United States should be also near 3%. So would you think that this will also foster, because we have a huge risk. I mean, this could foster, and it's needed, as you mentioned, the collaboration between researchers, etc., academia, etc. But I think we have a huge risk. I don't know if this situation that we are facing in countries could really foster collaboration and could really improve the or increase the percentage of the GDP that the governments are using to foster research. Do you think that could happen? I mean, this is a kind of prediction. I will really ask you, what do you think will really happen? Thinking about the following year.
Well, actually, every capitalism has both sides, the plus and minus. It could be at the moment we are feeling that we are hit by COVID-19, everybody in the world, and that's very, very bad. But at least we can take some consolation that it will force us to think more about collaboration and about other countries, not just North America, like the USA first, America first. You cannot really build the walls. China built the wall, and that was really very detrimental to the Chinese development. So building the walls is not the 21st century way. So the problem, like for President Obrador, would be, is this investment in the research and development in science-based, more science-based production of goods and services, is this, sort of a long-term investment that will pay itself, or just a short-term thing that will fade and everything will return to the old ways, to maquiladoras, etc. I think right now, if you look at the history of the 19th, 20th, and 21st century, actually right now, and given the problems with that some countries have with China, right now is the best time to think in terms of long-term gain for countries, for Latin American countries, and especially like Mexico, who is already a member of the integration agreement. So it's kind of like almost guaranteed that big investment, and that's a big investment because any investment that goes to science, development, ecology, it's not, you cannot get the results tomorrow. You have to invest for decades. So that lengthening of the horizon is very much called for in countries like Latin American countries, Brazil, but especially Mexico, because it's so much less risky. Brazil is not a member of the integration agreement with North America. Mexico is. So for Mexico, the chance that there will be another Trump with his walls and America first is almost zero. Personally, I think that Trump will lose the election. So being part of the large and very, very science-oriented integration effort, like this effort, the new NAFTA, I think is almost a guarantee. Oh, of course, there are no guarantees in life, right? We have to be some of that. Yeah, I can go cross the street and be hit by a bus, of course. But Mexico
especially in politics, it's quite complicated.
much better position. Yeah, much better position than, let's say, Brazil. Much better.
Want to share that I really agree with you. I think it's a good opportunity to increase the percentage that the government it's using to increase research and development. No, so I will just stress that because I know Jorge has another interesting question, and well, Jorge, we will listen to you.
Right, no, it's very good, and it's a fascinating topic that we can talk. But as we come into a close, we have about like 7 minutes left. It's good to hear from Val about the prediction that Trump will lose. I really hope that it happens. I'm not so seeing some encouraging signs, but really hope that he's right. And also, I think you know more this topic about than I do, Miguel, about the future of alternative currencies and Bitcoin. I think you wanted to talk about the subject, so maybe we can use it as a closing for this call.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you also because there was a tendency, at the beginning, you should remember at the beginning of this Bitcoin, no, there were so many opinions. Actually, really important influencers here, economists, said that no, do not bet on Bitcoin because it's not possible to bet on a coin that it's not really. I mean, it's virtual. No, there's nothing there. It's not supported by gold. It's not supported by anything. So they started to criticize a lot this. But nowadays, the price of the Bitcoin, it's above or about 10,000 US dollars, no? And the last year was the half. So what do you think about Bitcoin? Do you think that nowadays we are considering having a global I don't know, like a global coin? Will it be risky to invest in Bitcoins, to invest your money, or I don't know. What's your opinion about that?
Well, actually, I'm not that much interested in peripheral processes that result, in some cases, in new currencies. If you look at the economic history of the United States, USA, then you have a great number of all kinds of currencies. And I imagine in other countries as well, there are currencies, especially when the market mechanisms are broken, like now during the COVID. Then barter, counter trade, and other substitutes come to the fore. But actually, what I'm more interested it's just a short term. I'm more interested in the long-term development, and I don't think that as far as the long-term development of the world is concerned, we can really concentrate on currencies like Bitcoin. I myself affiliated with the Blockchain Research Institute at the University of Toronto, but we are moving away actually from the initial modest interest in Bitcoin towards establishment of the public blockchains for the infrastructure. Let's say the transportation system for Lithuania, where there is a east-west ways, the via Baltica way from north to the Central Europe, and then there is north-south and east-west. So a big application of blockchain is actually in the public realm, where you establish a new infrastructure for the 21st century. That you connect universities, you connect the flows of people, the flows of money, the flows of goods and services. I do think that the USD is in the long term that as a only global reserve currency. It's actually already being gradually replaced by other currencies. Of course, euro would be one, but we don't know about euro future that much. And lately, more and more doubt about that.
Yeah.
I think that neither euro nor USD, it will be some transitional currency like special drawing rights, SDR, by the International Monetary Fund, where there is a basket of a big basket of currencies, of course, including USD, including euro, yen, and yuan. But in the long term, that's sort of a mid to long term, that like 10, 15 years. Beyond that, the special drawing rights as the currency, global currency, managed by the IMF, I think will not last. So I dare not to Jorge called me prophetic, but my prophecy doesn't extend beyond 20 years. So I don't know who will be, what currency will be there. Most probably some sort of electronic currency, digital currency, that cash will totally disappear. I think cash will totally disappear within 5 years.
Yeah.
So sort of a high-tech system of that will be actually helped a lot by what I propose, namely blockchain in the public sphere, development of the infrastructure of payment. Well, let's say PayPal. PayPal is a sort of a part of a small, narrow-based blockchain, and it's all over the world. You can send money to Africa, receive money from South America. So this sort of global public infrastructure or related infrastructures that can actually be made to cooperate as opposed to totally compete. We have that issue in the world, what I would call a co-opetition. Competition plus cooperation. And we have to manage that co-opetition very well in order to arrive at optimal results. Not just a cutthroat competition in the narrow way that let's say President Trump sees, but also some sort of cooperation. So the chains, the value chains that we establish in the world should be actually part and parcel of the effort at cooperation, even if there is still some competition. So cooperation and competition. And that actually really dovetails very well with the economist that I started with, namely Joseph Schumpeter, the great American economist of Austrian descent, Jorge. You are in Canal.
Thank you so much, Val, for this wonderful explanation and answers, and we really appreciate taking some time to touch on different topics of the economy. And I hope that some of your optimistic perspective apply to the economy, and we can see more cooperation instead of disunion like it happened in Brexit and some worrying signs that we can see in Europe and in Brazil and in many countries. So thank you very much, and I hope that you guys like this new format that we come up doing this crossover in English for Birra Abierta. So
muchas gracias. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Bye.